In this Webflow tutorial, I'll teach you how to create a custom Webflow preloader with whatever you want. So I found this specific example website, grayer.com.au. It's a construction site, and I noticed most construction / architectural sites or building industry sites have a preloader. So let's go ahead and just refresh this page so we can see the preloader. It literally starts out as a black screen, logo, then two texts coming together in the middle, then it goes into another logo, then it goes into the actual website. So this creates a really custom and branded feel for this specific example. And in this specific tutorial, we'll be rebuilding pretty much the exact same thing. But by the end of the tutorial, you should have the ability and the premise and the understanding to build literally whatever you want. So let's go ahead and go into Webflow. And I'm gonna go ahead and add all my assets, which I already have. So I have my logo right here. Then I'm gonna move into the two text that slides in. Then I'm going to move into a picture of myself because I don't have a secondary logo. And if we go into my design platform, this is essentially what I'm going to do. It's going to start out as a white screen. The logo is going to appear. Then the words, maybe like Webflow, then wannabe is going to come in from the side. And then a picture of myself because I am the Webflow wannabe gangster YouTuber. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just add a div block underneath our body. And we'll give this a class of pre-loader. And we want to go ahead and change the position from static to fixed, which remains on the screen. We want to go ahead and make sure we set this to full. And we want to give it a very high Z index to make sure that it's sitting on top of everything. So in this case, I'll put it as my power is over 9999999. Enter. Wow, that was very cringe. I'm literally 30. Anyways, now what we want to do is just make sure the width is set to 100%. And we'll change the height to 100 VH, which is viewport height. And obviously we can't see anything because the background is transparent. So we'll go ahead and change the background to something else. Perhaps I'll just use this like light gray right here. That looks pretty gangster. I'm gonna go ahead and just change this display to flex to be in the center. And now I'm gonna pull in my assets. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add an image and I'll give this a class of preloader image. And I'll go ahead and choose the image and put my logo right here. I'll go ahead and just give it a height. Let's just say 5 rems. Let's just say that's good. The next thing is I'll give it another image and I'll give it a class of preloader headshot image. And I'll go ahead and change the image to be my face. And you know, that size is already good, but as Webflow developers, it's good to put a fixed height and width. So I'll just give it a height of, let's say 7.5 rems and 7.5 rems. And maybe I'll just give it a radius of 50 VW. So I'm like in a circle and maybe I'll just make it a bit bigger, like 16. That looks pretty good. And then I'm finally going to put the text. So I'll go ahead and just put a text block, give it a class of maybe preload text. And I'll just go ahead and change this text to, let's say, like Webflow. And maybe I'll put it all caps because I'm really obnoxious. So I'll go ahead and hit more type option and I'll put capitalize. And I'll change the size to, let's just say, I like to use viewport because then it scales really well with like the lower breakpoints. So in this case, maybe I'll just put like 12 VW. See, that's too big. So I'll go ahead and just put this to like 5, maybe 4. Let's just do 4. And I'll put the height to 1 unitless height. And that looks cool. I'll go ahead and duplicate this. And on the right-hand side, I'll say Webflow 1B. I don't even know if that's how you spell it, but let's just go with it, guys. And I want to go ahead and just put a combo class for each one of these so I can target it in the animation. So on the Webflow text, I'll give it a class of, let's say, left. And on the wannabe, I'll give it a combo class of right. Okay, so now that's done, I actually want to select both my logo and my image, and I actually want to set it to position absolute instead of position static. So I'm going to go ahead and just select that and change the position to absolute. And this way, it just kind of ignores everything and just puts it into the center because it's absolute to the parent class, which is pre-loader with the Z index of 9999999. So I'm going to go ahead and select that image as well of my face and change that position to absolute. And that way, this Webflow wannabe right here, we can go ahead and change that. So I'm going to go ahead and temporarily just put this specific preloader image and my logo to just display none, just temporarily, so I can see everything or the text. And I want to go ahead and select my preloader wrapper div, and maybe instead of flex horizontal, I'll put it to flex vertical, and that looks pretty cool. And because I put a specific combo class for each, maybe I want to make it more fancy, you know, because I'm a Webflow wannabe. So I'll go ahead and change the margin for my top text to be like negative 5% maybe. And then the wannabe, I'll put it to be like 5% on the right. oops, sorry, -5% on the right. And now it's gonna come in not like, you know, centered, but like off centered, you know? Wow, these things make a difference. Okay, now with that done, I'm gonna go ahead and just bring back my two images by just changing the display from none just back to the default. That's that. And now we're ready to animate. So we can go ahead and hit the interactions, go ahead and hit page trigger, hit page load. We'll go ahead and hit start animation and we'll give it a new one called Preloader. And the first thing I want to do is select my logo image, which is currently behind my face. And I'll go ahead and hit plus. I'll go ahead and hit the opacity. And I want to make sure that affects the class. And I'll go ahead and hit set initial state to 0% opacity. I want to go ahead and select my headshot image and also put opacity and select the class to 0%. I also want to hit these preloader text to also be 0%. But in this case, I can go ahead and just change the positioning of the text. So with the top text selected, I'll hit plus, I'll hit move. Then in the effect, make sure it's selected to class. And because we put a combo class, it's going to affect that specific text. We can go ahead and change the x-axis to, let's say, -100 VW. And that's literally gone to the side of the screen, like right here where my mouse is. It's literally gone. On this bottom text, wannabe, we can go ahead and hit plus, go ahead and move, make sure we put the effect to be the class. And in the exact same way in the x-axis, this time we might want to put -100 VW. Just want to make sure I did that correct. I'm going to go put -20. And you'll notice by putting -20, it's moving from the left. So that's fine. So I'll put -100. And essentially, you can't see anything because the two logos, while it's there on the canvas, it's set to 0% opacity. So invisible to the human eye. And these two specific text that's going to come in is set on the side of the screen. So this is good. This is the default state. Everything's great. Let's go ahead and animate one by one now. So selecting that small DS logo, I'll go ahead and hit an endpoint and I'll go ahead and put opacity and I want to move it from 0 to 100 because that's what we see first. Perhaps I'll put a small delay of, let's say, 0.8 seconds and it's going to take, let's say, 2 seconds to fade in. Once that's done, I want it to go ahead and fade out. So I'll go ahead and put plus again. I'll go ahead and hit opacity. Then I'll go ahead and put 0%. It's going to take 1.2 seconds to go from 100% to back to 0. And perhaps I want to delay it by 2 seconds. So if we hit plus right now, you can already see it's going to pull that logo and then it's going to take out that logo after 2 seconds. And obviously we can tweak the time. Like that took a long time, you know what I mean? So let's go ahead and just change the duration to, let's just say, 1 second fade. Go to the bottom, 1 second fade. Maybe the delay will just be 1.5 and the delay above that will be 0.4. So you can play around with everything, but as long as you understand the premise, that's what we can do. So in this case, this might be it. You might just want the logo and that's literally it. We can go ahead and select that preloader div and change the opacity to 0% or change the display to none. But in this case, we also want to animate the text. So let's go ahead and select my first text. I'll go ahead and hit the move right here. And I'll go ahead and put a delay of, let's say, 2 seconds, duration of 1.2. And I want to go ahead and just move this x-axis back to 0 VW. And let's go ahead and just play that. So it's going to go 0, logo comes in, logo comes out, then the text comes flying in after 2 seconds. That's pretty cool. So maybe I just want to get rid of the delay to be 0. And I want to go ahead and select my other text and do the exact same thing. Move, go ahead and go into the x-axis, put 0 VW, and that should be it. So we can also change the duration to be 0.8 maybe, and the other preloader text to 0.8. That's when we really go in and just tweak everything, but if we just play it, we have the logo comes out, and then the two text comes in. You notice they came in from the exact same direction. That's because I probably set the point wrong. So I noticed let's play it again. So we have logo comes out, then both these text comes in. So this wannabe text came in from the wrong direction. So this is coming in from -100, and this is also coming from -100. So we can just change this instead of negative to just be 100, if that makes sense. So once that's done, these both come in, and then eventually I want them to come out. So we'll go ahead and just hit the plus, we'll go ahead and hit opacity, and we'll go ahead and hit class, and we'll go ahead and just put 0% because we want it to fade out. Maybe after a 2 second delay with a 0.5 second duration, we'll go ahead and do that for the other text. Opacity, 0 to 0.5, class. So now if we play it, logo appears, logo disappears, text comes in, boom, for 2 seconds, and then opacity back to 0. And then finally, we show who is the wannabe Webflow developer. We'll go ahead and select my headshot image right here, which is set to 0% opacity. We'll create an endpoint, we'll hit opacity, and we'll go ahead and just, that's it. Change the opacity to 100, and we'll go ahead and hit play. So again, logo disappears, text comes in, and then text fades out, logo comes in. That looks pretty gangster. Of course, we can tweak everything. One thing we might want to tweak is these specific texts. We can actually change the easing right here from linear to, let's say, easy in. You can do that for everything. You can also change the durations, etc. But that looks pretty good. Once that's done, I'm pretty confident I can just hit the preloader right here, and I can go ahead and hit the end state right here, and I can go ahead and hit opacity, and I can go ahead and hit class. So this is selecting that master div block that has all my elements in it, my 2 logos and my text. And then I can just put the opacity to be 0, maybe a delay of 2 seconds, and a duration of 1.2. And then we'll go ahead and just put like an out chord fade transition. Now if we play it, boom, logo out. Where's the text? Wannabe Webflow or Webflow wannabe, out. My face, 2 seconds, out. Back into the actual website. And you can see this took 9 seconds of total. So I'll go ahead and hit save. And once that's done, that's pretty much it. So there's obviously one problem, is that this preloader is on top of everything, which is correct. But then like, how are you supposed to edit the site? You know, one easy way to do it is just put this to display none, and then, you know, you can edit your site. But then you have to make sure that you put this back to display flex. Otherwise, another way you can do it is hit interactions, you hit page load, and then on the page load, you want to make sure that this preload is display flex, not display none. But the problem with that is there might be some flicker where you can actually see your website before the preloader. So what we can do is use custom code in order to combat this. So I'm going to go ahead and just open my AI and just say, in Webflow, I have a class called .preloader, and I currently have it set to display none, but on page load, I want it to be display flex, straight away, no glitch or flicker. And this is going to go ahead and provide me a code to put in the head tag, because the head tag loads before the body tag. So right here, it's giving me this class right here. I'll go ahead and copy this, and I'll go ahead and go back into my projects, go into the site settings, page settings, and paste this into my head tag right here, hit save. I'll go ahead and publish my site, and everything should be working. We'll go ahead and preview it. You'll notice, boom, logo, jab cross, comes in. Hook, kick, face, KO. I don't know, guys, I'm having fun with it. So that's that. One more thing we're going to consider, back to my project, if we just go ahead and change the preload to be flex, we need to consider mobile. So let's go ahead and go to tablet right here. This looks pretty good. Actually, we can't really see the text because it's pretty small. So I'm going to go and just change the text to be, instead of 4 viewport width, to be something bigger. So I'm going to actually go ahead and just copy that first class that I have here, just put a text block and just paste that class. And I'll go ahead and just change it to maybe like 16 viewport width, and I'll go ahead and just delete it. And that looks pretty good. Like that's pretty good. Then we'll go into the mobile landscape, because I'm using viewport width. It's scaling very well. And even on mobile, it's scaling very well. So I can even preview this by hitting preview. And you'll notice logo is good sizing. My face, the text is good sizing. And then also my face is good sizing, I hope. And then that's it. So hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it really helped. As you can see, you can do a lot with a preloader as long as you understand the premise. It might be difficult to understand interactions, but that's okay. Have a play around with the timing, play around with the easing. Otherwise, this is a fantastic way to make your website really premium and make them wait. And this works very well with certain industries like construction, as you can see right here. It's the tease, it's the anticipation, you know? My name is Derek Su. I'm a Sydney-based Webflow developer and web designer. I also have many free Webflow tutorials on my YouTube channel, so please check them out. Give this video a like and a comment if you enjoyed it, if you found value. Otherwise, I also have paid Webflow course and a paid freelance course for those who want to take their learning to the next level. Until the next video, I'll see you guys later. Peace.